We're about to dive into a scenario that feels like it's straight out of science fiction, but what it reveals is a profound truth about the world we live in today. This is a look at what happens in the first 72 hours after the internet dies.
Imagine waking up and every single screen in your life is silent. No messages, no maps, no streaming, no news. That digital home that underpins our entire existence is just gone.
So we're going to walk through those critical first 3 days. Look, this isn't about the end of the world, not really. It's a scenario that would change the rhythm of life faster than any of us would expect, and it reveals just how fragile our connected world has become.
It all starts the moment everything goes dark. The great disconnect. That invisible thread connecting billions of us suddenly snaps, and the world shrinks to only what we can physically see and hear.
At first, it's just frustration, right? You'd restart your router, you'd check your phone's connection, maybe ask a neighbor. But then, that realization would start to sink in, spreading slowly, then all at once. It's not just you, it's everyone. The internet is gone.
The first 24 hours are defined by pure shock and a frantic scramble. The systems we all take for granted don't just slow down, they slam to a halt. This is that initial chaos where the true scale of our dependence becomes, well, terrifyingly clear. And the first things to fail are the most immediate. Digital payments, they just stop. Streaming, delivery apps, ride-sharing, all gone. Your online bank account is completely inaccessible. And remote work? It simply ceases to exist. The digital economy grinds to a sudden, silent halt.
With no social media, the whole flow of information changes. It becomes hyper-local. Coffee shops, parks, gas stations. They transform into these impromptu information hubs where strangers actually start talking again, trying to piece together what's happening.
And in all that digital silence, an old sound returns. Radios crackle back to life. Local FM stations, a relic for many of us, suddenly become the only reliable source of mass information for a world that's desperate for answers.
Okay, so as we enter the second day, that initial shock gives way to a deeper, systemic strain. The failures from day one start to cascade, pushing our critical infrastructure to its breaking point.
What you'd see is this forced reversion back to analog. Emergency dispatch goes manual. Hospitals return to pen and paper. Traffic lights go dark. Global supply chains start to seize up.
But amid all that breakdown, something pretty remarkable happens. People start to improvise. They build small local networks. Old landlines get dusted off. Community bulletin boards start appearing. This isn't nostalgia, it's just survival.
By the time we hit the third day, the whole mood shifts. The initial panic cools down, replaced by this focused sense of adaptation. A new reality is setting in.
And in this new reality, a completely different kind of social divide appears. It's not rich versus poor anymore, it's the prepared versus the unprepared. Those with cash, with local connections, with practical skills, they find themselves in a position of strength.
The skills that matter most become tangible again. Mechanics, farmers, electricians, medics, radio operators, these are the new essential workers.
Trust becomes local again. People start gathering in physical spaces, schools, churches, community centers, to share news and resources. Community stops being a network. It becomes a location. So, what do we learn from all this silence, the chaos? That isn't the real story. The story is what it reveals about the world we've built and just how fragile its foundations really are. What the collapse exposes is everything we've outsourced to the cloud. Our memory, our communication, our coordination. We rely on these invisible systems we hardly ever think about. Until, of course, they vanish.
But resilience is possible, and the preparations are actually pretty simple. Keep some cash at home, have printed copies of essential contacts and a few maps. Know where your nearest community hub is, and maybe learn a basic practical skill.
Those first 72 hours would be a profound shock, no doubt about it. But it's not the collapse of civilization, because when that invisible thread snaps, we don't go extinct. We adapt. We rebuild connection, just without the cables.